Within this moving picture is contained an inventory of ancient texts that all who seek the spooky vibes should read. But be warned, doing so may lead to your own peril.
Sorry, I've just been taken over by some other creature. Anyway, that was my Halloween outfit for last year. Never knew that that would come in handy again. In today's video, as you can tell, we shall be discussing ancient texts. No, we will be discussing some book recommendations that are either in the spooky or the cozy vibes classification, because it is almost Halloween. And though Halloween is not a really big thing in South Africa, we do celebrate it in the town that I live in. And also because in the summer where I live, we get a lot of rain, so it's overcast a lot of the time. Not today, but a lot of the time it is overcast, and that just makes me want to sit in bed and read. So I thought I would do a little collection of cozy and spooky books. So I've categorized them into two different sections, namely more cozy vibes books that are kind of, I don't know how to explain it, like if you were to put a rainy day in a book, that is what these books would be, sort of. And then you have the spooky section, or the scary section, that is more spooky and has some more nefarious characters or storylines. So, without further ado, let's just get straight into the list. The first book in the cozy section is, of course, The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton.
Aidan Bishop knows the rules. Evelyn Hardcastle would die every day until he can identify her killer and break the cycle. But every time the day begins again, Aidan wakes up in the body of a different guest at Blackheath Manor, and some of his hosts are more helpful than others. With a locked room mystery that Agatha Christie would envy, Stuart Turton unfurls a breakneck novel of intrigue and suspense. For fans of Claire North and Kate Atkinson, The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle is a breathlessly addictive mystery that follows one man's race against time to find a killer, with an astonishing time-turning twist that means nothing and no one are quite what they seem.
The next book in the cozy section is The Truants by Kate Weinberg.
Where do I find crime? Crime doesn't have its own section, said the librarian without looking up. It's all under fiction. 18-year-old Jess Walker heads to university to be taught by Dr. Lorna Clay, a brilliant and enigmatic literature professor. She can't believe her luck when she ends up in Lorna's Agatha Christie seminar in her first term, and more so when Lorna begins to take evident interest in her. In a matter of months, she falls in love with Alec, a mysterious journalist in exile, and slowly Lorna herself. As Jess's experience of infatuation and betrayal gives way to a breathless search for the truth, she finds herself detective in a twisted crime of the heart and an unwitting part of a toxic love triangle. Starting out under the flat grey skies of an East Anglian university campus and ending up on an idyllic Mediterranean island, The Truants is an enthralling debut about the nature of deceit and the depths to which obsession can drive us.
Then the next book on my list is S.T.A.G.S by M.A. Bennett.
It is the autumn term, and Greer MacDonald is struggling to settle into the 6th form at the exclusive St. Aidan the Great boarding school, known to his privileged students as S.T.A.G.S. To her surprise, Greer receives a mysterious invitation with 3 words embossed upon it: huntin', shootin', fishin'. An invitation to spend the half-term weekend at the country manor of Henry de Warlencourt, the most popular and wealthy boy at S.T.A.G.S. Greer joins the other chosen students at the ancient and sprawling Longcross Hall, and soon realizes that they are at the mercy of their capricious host. Over the next 3 days, as the 3 blood sports, hunting, shooting, and fishing, become increasingly dark and twisted, Greer comes to the horrifying realization that those being hunted are not wild game, but the very misfits Henry has brought with him from school.
Then we have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. The whole series, but I've only read the first 2 books, but I would include the whole series.
As our story opens, a horrific family tragedy sets 16-year-old Jacob journeying to a remote island off the coast of Wales, where he discovers the crumbling ruins of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. As Jacob explores its abandoned bedrooms and hallways, it becomes clear that the children were more than just peculiar. They may have been dangerous. They may have been quarantined on a deserted island for good reason. And somehow, impossible though it seems, they may still be alive. A spine-tingling fantasy illustrated with haunting vintage photography, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children will delight adults, teens, and anyone who relishes an adventure in the shadows.
Then the next book on my cozy list is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness.
Deep in the stacks of Oxford's Bodleian Library, young scholar Diana Bishop unwittingly calls up a bewitched alchemical manuscript in the course of her research. Descended from an old and distinguished line of witches, Diana wants nothing to do with sorcery, so after a furtive glance and few notes, she banishes the book back to the stacks. But her discovery sets a fantastical underworld stirring, and a horde of demons, witches, and vampires soon descends upon the library. Diana has stumbled upon a coveted treasure lost for centuries, and she is the only creature who can break its spell.
So I have just googled how to pronounce this man's surname, and the last book on my cozy section of the list, which kind of bleeds a little bit more into the spooky/scary section as well, so it's kind of a middle ground between the two, would be The Susan Effect by Peter Hu.
Susan Svensson has an unusual talent. She's an expert in finding out secrets. People feel compelled to confide in her and unwittingly confess their innermost thoughts. Her whole life she has exploited this talent, but now her family is in jeopardy and there is a prison sentence hanging over her head. Then Susan gets a timely offer from a former government official. Use her power one more time and have all charges dropped. But there are some powerful people determined to stop her.
Now, moving on to the spooky/scary list, or section of my list, the first book on this list is The Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Turton.
A Murder on the High Seas, a remarkable detective duo, a demon who may or may not exist. It's 1634 and Samuel Pepys, the world's greatest detective, is being transported to Amsterdam to be executed for a crime he may or may not have committed. Travelling with him is his loyal bodyguard, Arent Hayes, who is determined to prove his friend innocent. But no sooner are they out to sea than devilry begins to blight the voyage. A twice-dead leper stalks the decks. Strange symbols appear on the sails. Livestock is slaughtered. Anyone could be to blame, even a demon. And then 3 passengers are marked for death, including Samuel. With Pepys imprisoned, only Arent can solve a mystery that connects every passenger. A mystery that stretches back into their past and now threatens to sink the ship, killing everybody on board.
Then the next book on my list is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins.
Every day the same, until today. Rachel catches the same commuter train every morning. She knows it will wait at the same signal each time, overlooking a row of back gardens. She's even started to feel like she knows the people who live in one of the houses. Jess and Jason, she calls them. Their life as she sees it is perfect. If only Rachel could be that happy. And then she sees something shocking, and in one moment everything changes. Now Rachel has a chance to become a part of the life she's only watched from afar. Now they'll see. She's much more than just the girl on the train.
Next up we have a kind of more young adult or teen fiction book, but when I read it as a teen, it creeped me out so much. I haven't reread it since, but I think it is still a little bit creepy, or probably would find it still a little bit creepy. It is The Prince of Mist by Carlos Ruiz Zafón.
1943. As war sweeps across Europe, Max Carver's father moves his family away from the city to an old wooden house on the coast. But as soon as they arrive, strange things begin to happen. Max discovers a garden filled with eerie statues. His sisters are plagued by unsettling dreams and voices. A box of old films opens a window to the past. Most unsettling of all are rumors about the previous owners and the mysterious disappearance of their son. As Max delves into the past, he uncovers the terrifying story of the Prince of Mist, a sinister shadow who emerges from the night to settle old scores, then disappears with the first mists of dawn. Originally published in Spain as a young adult novel, The Prince of Mist is a mesmerizing tale of mystery, romance, and adventure.
The next book on my spooky/scary list is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins.
A single mother turns up dead at the bottom of the river that runs through town. Earlier in the summer, a vulnerable teenage girl met the same fate. They are not the first women lost to these dark waters, but their deaths disturb the river and its history, dredging up secrets long submerged. Left behind is a lonely 15-year-old girl.
And then the last book on my list, closing it out with a bang. I read this book at the beginning of October, and when I tell you, every single main character in this story is just a little bit, not a little bit, but I'm gonna say a little bit mad, to be quite frank. The last book on the list is The Things We Do to Our Friends by Heather Darwent.
Claire arrives at the University of Edinburgh with a secret. This is her chance for a blank slate. Finally, she can become the person she was meant to be. And then she meets Tabitha. Tabitha is charismatic, very beautiful, and intimidatingly rich. Claire is immediately sucked into her enigmatic circle of friends and their dizzying world of sophisticated dinner parties and summers in France. The new life she hoped for has begun. Then Tabitha reveals the little project they're working on, a project they need Claire to, and Claire has no way to refuse because they know what she did.
I would like to thank you for watching this video. If you have read any of these books, please let me know your thoughts below. If you have any other books to add to this list, also please write them below, because I'm always looking for more spooky / cozy mystery kind of books to read. That is my favorite kind of book to read. So if you know of any more that I haven't listed on here, please let me know, because I want to read them. So, with that said, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and I will see you again next week with another video. Bye.